Would you please welcome to the BoldTalks stage, Mr. Robert Scoble.
What's going on? Hang out here for a second.
Okay.
Yesterday, just to give you a sense of what my life is like.
Oh, gosh.
Yesterday, I went to MIT's Media Lab, which is this amazing place. And I got a tour from two people who are doing brain research and really cool stuff. And I saw prosthetics that are robotic prosthetics that Hugh Herr is developing with his team, and I saw plants that are being grown in new ways, and I saw 3D printing that's being done in conjunction with honeybees and all sorts of crazy, weird stuff from micro machines, and then I go to dinner with you. And for people who don't know, so I get to dinner, and Joel's like, "Oh, I'm glad you're here because I'm thinking of iFart 2.0." And for people who don't know, Joel is an entrepreneur, and he developed this iFart app. Do you have that app on your phone? We got to do a demo.
Only you, Robert. Only you. Here it is.
So
Wait, should I turn the volume? If I don't turn the volume on, they'll just be silent but deadly.
Tell me some of the terms here.
Don't start his clock yet. He's going to get his full time.
I'll get another minute.
Yeah. So we've got the wipeout.
The future's not as interesting as iFart. Or maybe the future is iFart. Is the whole lesson that we're going to. There we go.
Is that what you wanted?
That's what I wanted.
That's what I wanted. Hey, it went to #1 in the world, right? Which shows that people have a sense of humor.
And you're working on 2.0 now.
Hey, now that I'm here stuck with you still, I'm going to take a selfie.
All right.
Because it seems like the thing to do. Only we need with the people behind us.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
You guys stand up. Stand up. Let's make
go.
this right here.
Yeah!
Are we excited? Moderately.
Right.
Have fun.
Cool.
Put 12 minutes back on the shot clock.
Hey, thanks. So I go around the world for Rackspace and get to meet entrepreneurs who are doing interesting new things, and go to R&D labs like MIT Media Lab and stuff like that. Last week I was hanging out with Daniel Brusilowski, who works in the innovation group at the Golden State Warriors, and we went to the IndyCar race. By the way, did you know that the average IndyCar race team member has a PhD? I didn't know that. Yeah, you want to race cars? You tell your kids you better go to school. It has 100 sensors on the car, and it's pretty crazy to hang out with them. But he was studying how marketers are using virtual reality in the activations, because Verizon spends millions of dollars on IndyCar to get their name out and have relationships with executives around the world. So when I look at the world and an entrepreneur pitches me some app or something, I find I always go back to some assumptions that I am constantly tuning based on in the world. And some of the assumptions are that everybody's going to have a smartphone. And in India alone, in India today, 1 million people are going to buy a smartphone today. 1 million people in India alone. So you start thinking about, okay, what are some of the other assumptions? That our bandwidth is going to go better and better. Our wireless is going to go faster speed next year. Our screens are going to get sharper. Our processors are going to get smaller and faster. You start making some of these assumptions. And these assumptions start to change what you're able to do in business. Here I'm doing a video conference with Guy Kawasaki in a home in Sun Valley with quality that is this good. And it really has changed what I assume can be done in terms of putting people together around the world. We no longer have to really travel as much, hopefully. But I now was able to do a conference completely virtual in somebody's home all over the internet, right, using low-cost camera gear. The other thing I'm starting to see is companies that reduce friction or bring new experiences win. And if you're really good, you bring both together. And let's just dive into some of the companies I'm seeing do that. So, when I say frictionless, I'm talking about things like Uber. What does Uber do? And I think that's the next slide, actually. Uber reduces friction from our lives. 10 years ago, if you want to get a cab in San Francisco, you'd call on the phone. That's sort of a strange thing today. You'd call on the phone, you'd wait for you'd get to the dispatcher and say, can you send a taxi to this address? And you wait, they'll say, oh, it'll be there in 20 minutes. You wait 20 minutes, they never show up. You call back, where's my taxi? And today we pull out our phone and we see where the taxi is or the ride, and it reduces friction. It reduces friction when I have to pay. I don't have to fumble for my wallet and find money for paying the driver. The driver just charges me automatically, right? And Instacart, I live in San Francisco, and I'm starting to, in our book, Age of Context, we started seeing that there's a shift in our society due to these frictionless technologies. Sprig, for instance, if you're in San Francisco at my office in San Francisco, they'll bring you a salad in about 20 minutes for $10. They don't bring that salad to my house in Half Moon Bay, which is a suburban house, right? Instacart will bring me groceries to my place in San Francisco. They won't bring me groceries to my house in Half Moon Bay. And you start getting all sorts of new services, and it's shifting where we believe we want to live. When my dad moved us to Silicon Valley in 1971, he did not want to live in downtown because that's where the high crime was and the poor services, the crappy grocery store, the bad schools were all in downtown. Now that's flipping because the high service levels are where there's urban density so that these new business models can happen. So we talk about Uber. What is Uber? They don't own a car, yet they're one of the most valuable startups ever. All they did was change the data about the business, if you think about it. The car is the same, the driver's the same, the way the driver gets paid is the same. It's just data that's on top of the driver, and that data transforms what we think of as a car ride, right? We're studying 5 new forces that are bringing us less friction. We're bringing us contextual technologies. These 5 forces are things like number of sensors on us and in our world are going up exponentially. I mean, I got a new one on my wrist, right? We're seeing sensors like this yellow thing that's going to study whether there's a car in a parking spot or not, and it's going to report that via your apps. You're seeing the amount of location data, the data about where we are is going up exponentially. The social data, which you all are very familiar with, is going up exponentially, right? At HubSpot, you're seeing these numbers just continue to go up nuts, right? Twitter is 500 million tweets a day, and that's an old number. And you're starting to see businesses built on top of it, not just HubSpot, and we'll get into that in a second. There were 3 other things. Wearable computers are going up exponentially. The amount of cloud-based databases are going up exponentially. And it's letting us to think about business in a new way. We're being asked, how well do we know our customers? And we don't know our customers today. I went to a ski resort and met with their executives and met with the Ritz executives, same thing. When you walk into the Ritz, they really don't know you, right? They should, and they did. 100 years ago, the Ritz told me, the executive team told me, when we opened our first Ritz 100 and something years ago, there was a room in the middle of the Ritz full of index cards, and they would write down everything about you and put it in the index card. They would study your trash. They would go through your trash in your room 100 and something years ago, right? They surveilled the hell out of you. And they would write down, oh, this guy likes apples, or this guy likes candy bars. And they would have that candy bar or that apple on your pillow when you went back to the Ritz. That's why the Ritz has the brand of being the best service organization the world has right now, right? It started back before computers, before technology. We knew our customers. Our local butcher knew what kind of meat we liked, right? And what kind of cut we liked, because they knew us. Well, we built brands and we lost that. Well, now, thanks to technology, we're going to get it back, whether we like it or not. You're going to walk in. Here's a story. I visited the Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. You're going to walk in for the Super Bowl, and they're going to put your name up on this big-ass huge screen as you walk in and say, hey, welcome to the Levi's Stadium for the Super Bowl, Jane Smith, if you opted in on Facebook to do this, right? They do that because your phone has a beacon. We can talk about that in a second. We're also being asked, we're being studied in new ways. The picture on the left is from a company called Shop Perception. They're using a 3D sensor. The sensor is so good, it watches your hand go to a box of Cheerios, right? So think about that one, and it can tell that you pulled a box of Cheerios off the shelf. I saw this demo 2 years ago at the Consumer Electronics Show, so I can't imagine what they've been doing in the last 2 years. Shelfbucks is a thing you tap your phone onto, and it tells you all sorts of stuff. VinTank is a company that's up in the wine country. They're studying anytime you say something about wine. And they're seeing 2 million tweets a day that have something to do about wine. And one tweet can tell me all sorts of stuff, right? Laura, if you go to Napa and you tweet, I just bought a case of Camus, that tells me you're a very discerning wine customer and a fairly rich one because you're buying a $100 bottle of wine, right? If you do the same tweet from Sutter Home, I know that you're not discerning and you're going for $10 bottles of wine, right? There's a lot of stuff coming here. These beacons, the Levi Stadium has 2,000 beacons, and when I give talks like this, people go, that's freaky. How many people have an iPhone, by the way? Yeah, you're all carrying a beacon. You didn't even know it. So what are these beacons? They're little radios that spit 3 numbers into the air, and my iPhone can tell how close it is to your beacon if it was turned on. And so as you walk around the stadium, it knows exactly where you are, down to a foot or so. And they're using these things to bring food to your seat and tell you where the bathroom is. Where the bathroom with the shortest line is, by the way, because there's a sensor that's watching how long the lines are in the bathrooms, so you'll get directed to the coolest bathroom, right? And on and on. They're little cheap radios. The Downtown app is using them at Coupa Cafe in Palo Alto. You sit down at the table, it knows you're at table 13, you order on your iPhone a latte, the latte arrives, you don't have to get up from the table and wait in line like you used to, and the sales have gone up 20% in the first week and have gone up 35% since then, or total since then. There's an app called Topingo. I bet you guys haven't heard it because it's only for college kids. This app, if you're a college kid at 150 universities, you order your lattes, your sandwiches, your books, your t-shirt, everything you order off of this app. When you order it, it puts you in a virtual queue. So let's say you wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning, you say, I want an iced latte. It tells you, oh, your latte will be ready at 7:29 a.m. It puts that order into a box that's in the Starbucks that lights up, beeps, and spits out a receipt. And it's doing a lot of cool stuff. It's doing contextual watching of who you are. So this kid who started this, Daniel, was in the surveillance program in Israel, and he learned that when you're in government surveillance, you're looking for people who go out of pattern because we have a common pattern to our lives. We visit the same gas stations, the same churches, the same school. We buy gas at the same 3 places. We buy lunch at the same 5 places. We have a common pattern. And in government surveillance, they're looking for people who are out of pattern. Here, his thing looks for when you are in pattern. So if you buy the same iced latte at 7 a.m. every morning, it goes, hey, why am I asking you to, thank you so much, to type in iced latte on your phone? You know, why are you being forced to click menu items? Why doesn't it just order it? Or why doesn't it just say, would you like that? Yes, 1 click, right? Instead of 5 clicks or 15 clicks. So it's reduced friction from our lives, and the sales have gone up immeasurably. And at Santa Clara University, 70% of all transactions are going through that thing. And by the way, now he's going further. He's trying to reduce even more friction. The system asks you, would you like it delivered to your class? Another classmate of yours will be incented to pick up your latte at the place and bring it to class for you. He or she will get paid in a virtual currency because he doesn't want to pay Visa a transaction fee, because every time a dollar goes into Visa, they take 22%, right? So he wants to build a virtual currency and pay that delivery person in a virtual currency. Really crazy stuff coming, but it's reducing friction, it's getting adopted, and we're all gonna be using it in six years, just like we use Facebook today, and we didn't think we would, 8 years ago. House Call lets you buy roofers, plumbers, whatnot. It works like Uber. You see the roofer coming to your house. It reduces friction. And when I asked the entrepreneur this is cool, but how many people are really using it? He goes, let me show you my customer map. They're in San Diego, and the map was red of little pink dots. I go, how did you get so many customers? He goes, well, we have the best plumber supply system. That lets the plumber get money from you and schedule you and stuff like that. And so they force everybody to get on the system. And so you're going to be using this, but it reduces friction. Just since I am running out of time, a little bit about what's next. I could spend an hour talking about virtual reality. These are ODG glasses coming that'll put a virtual world in front of your real world. Microsoft HoloLens licensed their technology for the HoloLens. That's coming in July. We're seeing new kinds of cameras that the marketers here are really going to want to get on top of. These are 360-degree video cameras that let you capture the context of a room, not just visually, but build a 3D model of the room and then display it in virtual headsets. How many people have had an Oculus Rift on their head, by the way? Just a few. That's interesting. This is the most mind-blowing technology I have seen since the first iPhone. And it's coming. It's coming next year. Oculus is coming first quarter next year. Valve is coming later this year for beta testers and coming in quantity next year. And Sony Morpheus is coming next year. The Consumer Electronics Show is going to be a huge one this year for this new technology. Everybody, the reason I'm so emotional about this is I study people's emotion when they see a product for the first time. And I stood outside a demo room where VIPs were getting demoed to, and the emotion that people displayed when they were seeing VR was just extraordinary. They were using expletives. They were saying this is the most mind-blowing thing I'd ever seen. And I feel the same emotion after getting the demos. This world is freaky. So to wrap this up, this world is freaky. How many people have an Amazon Echo? Yeah, just a handful. Do you like it? Yeah? Yeah? I saw a hand, but do you like yours? Most people who have it say this is the coolest thing they've ever seen. But when I tell people what it really does, it listens to you in your house. You say, Alexa, turn on Skrillex, and it starts playing Skrillex, right? Alexa, buy me some toilet paper. 2 days later, toilet paper shows up, right? Alexa, turn off my lights. If you have the new Hue lights, it turns off your lights. It's listening to you. It's freaky. So Apple just yesterday announced a new TV. It listens to you. You talk to, hey Siri, turn on CNN, right? It's listening to you full time. It's freaky technology. It's watching you. This watch knows when I have had sex, right? Think about that one. It does. And how long? And when? And with whom? If she or he has an Apple Watch on, yeah. Tim Cook knows. We're playing with new technologies that are going to take on our privacy, right? This is an alcohol sensor. You blow into it, it tells you your alcohol. My brother's using these in his bar. They were on Shark Tank. They sold a whole crap load of them. But it reports up to a crowd service. So maybe our sensor is going to order us an Uber and save our lives, right? So I'm just giving a little taste, because I could do this for about an hour and a half without even touching all the cool stuff I've seen. But there's some really freaky stuff coming. There's some really interesting innovations. Some new experiences are coming that you should be aware of and spend some time studying for your companies. And thank you so much.